President Lincoln is one of my biggest political heroes. He united the country. He ended slavery. He was a big, big blocker of the anti-Semitism of his own Union generals. So, how did the pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas supporters show their displeasure with Lincoln? Well, they spray paint his monument and they write "Free Gaza, Free Palestine" in red paint all over the Lincoln Memorial. I'm a big fan of Abraham Lincoln. I always have been ever since I was a young boy. The things he did to preserve the Union, to effectuate the elimination of slavery, the raising up of Jews in America, this man was truly one of the greats, deserves the bust of him that sits on Mount Rushmore. He is a true American hero to one group. Oh, that group doesn't like him. Let me change that. Anti-Israel vandals spray painted "Free Gaza" and "Free Palestine" in bright paint all over the Lincoln Memorial in Washington. They also spray painted the pool steps on the reflecting pond, and it's the second time it had to be cleaned up. Listen to what the National Park Service said. Listen to this quote from someone you probably know, Lawrence Muscat at the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies. He says, these barbarians are not only anti-Semitic, but they're anti-American. Writing "Free Gaza," they drew the hammer and sickle, the communist symbol, on the Lincoln Memorial. And they've decided that Lincoln, who stood up to anti-Semitism during the Civil War, who freed the slaves, would somehow have been a supporter of Israel over Gaza, and so we must deface and defame his memory. Is there anybody that's not off limits to these radicals?
It seems not. They're not only defacing, public memorials to Lincoln and the steps of, the Lincoln Memorial and everything downtown in Washington, D.C., but here in Virginia, where I live, they are hoping, so far delayed, but hoping to tear down the statue of the Reconciliation Monument that stands in Arlington Cemetery, that was erected there after the Civil War, in hopes of helping to reconnect the nation, to bind up the wounds of the war, of the Civil War. That monument is the Reconciliation Monument, and they're hoping now to tear it down. It's been stayed by a judge for a while, but I don't know if that's going to be permanent or not.
In my wildest imagination, I can't understand why people would have a problem with the unification of the North and the South after the elimination of slavery and the deaths of hundreds and hundreds of thousands of Northerners and Southerners.
Well, the other day, a week ago or so, perhaps, I was driving down one of the main state routes in Northern Virginia for a long time, called Lee Highway. And as I drove down a week ago, I noticed that all the cross street signs for Lee Highway had been taken down and every single one replaced with Route 29.
Because Robert E. Lee is unable to be used as a name anymore?
Apparently so.
Oh my God, what happened to the value of
inexplicable
history? I really am stunned that it's okay to rewrite history. I just don't get it. And the people that are letting these nutballs get away with it are to blame for putting up with this nonsense.
Well, a number of us were disappointed in our governor, Glenn Youngkin, whom we very much admire in other areas, but that this would be allowed in Virginia. Or maybe it was, the Virginia legislature. I don't know that he put up any kind of opposition to it, though, that I heard about. So, yeah, that's disappointing in him.